Ah! I had forgotten to make my element tea drink. So I had to go run off and do that real quick. But yeah, I'm here. What a horrible night for some sleep. I know, if only I had some good sleep and not some horrible sleep. Right. So I'm almost done. I'm not even going to call it the Chapter 11 rewrite anymore. I'm almost done with the new Chapter 11, and then I'm going to, like, push everything down a chapter thing. Because, yeah. This is so different than what Chapter 11 was, and I can still salvage Chapter 11 onwards, just changing the times a little bit. Not too much, but just a little bit. That's quite pleasing. Yes, that is quite pleasing. All right. Time for one of the most satisfying sounds in the world. Especially on a nice root beer. Rooty beer. Okay. Right. Excuse me. Root beer. Yeah. No, it's the genuine root beer. This is Mug Floats Vanilla Howlers. It's pretty tasty. Great, it's not the greatest thing I've ever had, but you know, it's not bad. It's kind of like once you've had an ice cream float, it's kind of like the root beer that's left behind, right? All right, let's get to where we were. Excuse me. My apologies. My apologies, chat. Okay. Isn't that chew? Yeah, I'm not really big on anything else. I'm basically a teetotaler. I'm a teetotaler. Basically. Alright. Let's begin. We've got quite a bit here. And like I said, I'm going to break this off into a new chapter and stuff like that. So, well, it's already going to be chapter 11. I wonder if it's both beer and chew. Hold on a second, because I don't know the beer. Oh, I had a, whatchamacallit, Berenstein Bears moment. Skull, Skoal, is the chew. Okay. 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 Yeah. So, Berenstein Bears moment there for me. All right. All right, so I'm going to be leaning forward slightly. Let's fix this. Oh, I need to fix you. Right here. Boop, there we go. Perfect. For now.
But
I missed the mute button. All right. Both agents had been regretfully introduced to the entirety of the building's interior and came face to face with their commander many times. Though the pair had not met Jack Smith before their encounter in the woods, instantly they shared the same distaste for the commander as he did. There were rumors and backroom talks, to be sure, but what if the boss was a genuine monster? Then I will kill him. William sighed, which seemed nearly one of true prophecy, as immediately after a shadow came to stand near the doors to the archive. The convulsing grub in guise of a man, with permanent upturned corner of his mouth as if ever scheming and in a personal joke about all others, now barred the way for their files. He was rather tall at 6'2" and lanky of build, with limbs that seemed ill-suited to the lack of musculature on them. His face had some pockmarks on it, with some scarring of old acne and eyebrows that had rogue hair follicles that struck out in different directions, as well as a subtle sheen of grease on his skin. There were few words of kindness that could be exchanged towards the commander's personal boot polisher, whose mannerisms were at best described as off-putting. You seem to have gotten close, especially if word around the water cooler is to be believed. A damnable smirk on his face, highlighted by the wiry brown mustache and dark brown eyes that remained at half-lid, always kept William on edge. I will kill him too. I'm sure there has been much talk about us, Agent Cooper, though at the moment we are finishing off our reports and stowing them for safekeeping. He had to play nice. I don't need to play nice. In spite of what the voice at the back of his mind insisted, nor how often, he couldn't just simply remove the weasel of a man. Ah, yes. The black site in the visitor center. Good. Very good. Slowly, Cooper tilted his head and looked between Mr. Oh, God. Throat demon, hold on. Slowly, Cooper tilted his head and looked between Mr. Lowell and Miss Baker, before further pressing the corner of his mouth up. The commander says the both of you are done for the day. Try not to have too much fun. Samantha was the first to shiver as the toad walked away, his steps in such a strange manner as if he were walking on his tiptoes, while he lightly scratched his wrist behind his back. By the way, I had a friend who would do that. He walked on his tiptoes at all times. You do not understand. He was nerdy, right? But when he went to play football, oh my God. His calf muscles fucking yoked. But no, for whatever reason, he walked on his tiptoes the whole time. He found it better for himself. So he just walked on his tiptoes all the time, everywhere he went. Upstairs, downstairs, in the gym class, on runs. He was always on his tiptoes. And I don't mean on like the very, very tippy tip, but you know what I mean? Where you're only using the ball of your foot. Like his heel is totally up in the air. That's what I mean. All the time. And he was already tall too. He didn't need it for height or anything like that, right? He was already a tall one. Anyways. We are sure he is human, right? Her words were more forward than William expected, which caught him off guard and made him huff with a barely caught laugh. This also got her out of the funk she found herself in, just from the misfortune of being confronted by the cretin. Right. Let's get these stowed, and then you get to your mom. I will call the ranger. You assigned for duty the rest of the week? Samantha shook her head before turning to look at him, as if to return the same question. Same. Unless there's an emergency call-out. Should I come with you? Oh, come to meet the folks on the very first day of dating? She smirked a bit and then winked before tapping him with the folders and disappearing inside of the archive room. There was nothing for it but to just file his own paperwork in the labyrinthian obfuscation hell of NDA cataloging. Thus came the most infamous part of the system, with so many misfilings and poor cross-references all throughout every area of the NDA, and its influence all for the sake of security. It was often a point of contention for many within the organization, with Samantha being one of the most vocal for its frustrating nature. William himself even voiced discontent with it, to the point during a briefing with members of an assault team he lamented the agency's clear fetishization of obfuscation and the many delays it brought. The specter of oversight, though, would make all drag their feet, for who could be trusted with the secrets lost within the NDA's walls? By the way, emphasis on the word lost. While the two of them were undergoing the trials and tribulations of the filing system, elsewhere in the command posts, another was deep into their own schemes and woes. The commander's office sat behind a set of double doors made of thick wood with steel inserts. Inside the office was a level of luxury not seen in the brutally pragmatic furnishings elsewhere, with leather sofas and chairs highlighting that immediately. Even in his addled state, there were some plants within the room that had some tending. That had seen some tending. While upon the desk rested a shotgun in the process of being cleaned. That methodical routine was interrupted as a man sat at the desk and was busy glaring into a mirror. His eyes were a cold and dead thing, his mouth twitching as he worried over every imperfection he saw in the mirror and shook with his anger. That prick Static, a short and unpleasant man so deep in his desire for flesh, had a single job to do and still could not come through. He was paid well and given simple instructions, so how would this have gone so wrong? What did that moron want with the stupid false ulcer? Let him rot. Get the details needed. That was the important part. And then he could drown in the pleasures of flesh all he wanted. Stupid, stupid. This must be why he had these blemishes now. It must be true. It was a simple job. Some hard-earned cash and a few choice samples for him to take and slake his desires. Was he just not threatening enough? Did he need to become more so? He was more. He needed to be more. This could not stand. Those bastards at Extract, so high and mighty, were looking down on him with this. He was sure of it. That phone call made it abundantly clear. A checkup? Who needs to check up on a commander within the NDA? They all thought they were so much better than he was. Why did everyone think they were so much better? A long growl escaped him and he grabbed at his face, his nails almost digging into the skin before he took a deep breath and released it. No, it wasn't time to fall apart. He still had his trump card, his protege. He just needed to be released into the truth of himself. Then he would be the master. He would be the leader of a new tribe. Why can't he have a tribe? Arrogance, all it was, just arrogance. Of course those that revel in themselves could have a tribe. Just lies and lies. His spiraling desperations were interrupted when a knock came at the door, and the man slowly put the mirror away and tried to collect his thoughts. His right hand came to rest on the shotgun as he began to reassemble it. The weapon cut down to fit within the desk easily. Once the short shotgun was loaded with the 3 shells. Once the shotgun was loaded with the 3 shells of its capacity and tucked away, he looked to the door and called out, "Enter!" Slowly the door opened and his favorite assistant, a sniveling suck-up of a man of low morals, bounded in on his tiptoes and gave a bow of his head. He then rushed over to the commander's desk and placed out some paperwork before offering a smile. "I looked into things as you requested, Commander. William and that Samantha woman are much closer now, and rumor around the outpost is they're finally dating. An easy inroad for your plans, sir." The commander, a man of oddities with those cold, lifeless green eyes and salt and pepper hair, began to smile. This smile seemed to stretch from ear to ear as if drawn back by unseen fingers, for he clasped his hands together and rested his chin upon them. "Have I ever told you you're my favorite little minion?" The words were dripping in a strange desire as the contemptible man offered his own smile. "It always pleased me to hear it, Master Hrrkl. May I be ever useful." Hrrkl then raised a hand and waved it to dismiss the meek little man. His mind was sharp, devious, and his face bore a visage only the blind could truly tolerate. Even then, only until his personality spoiled the veiled consideration. Thus he made a useful tool for the man. Let's put a comma here. For the man would help lift him all the way up the ladder. After all, who better than Commander Hrrkl to dictate the direction of the NDA? All the temptations were so bountiful, and as the door closed to his office once more, he couldn't help but laugh. A terrible and stilted thing that sounded as if one was choking, while he reached into the desk for the mirror once more. Temptations were bountiful indeed. Surely William would accept some of his own. Hrrkl turned his vacant eyes to the mirror and stared at the wolf-like thing in the silver reflection that bore the same wicked grin as he. All the schemes of the envious would play out just the same. The car pulled up into the driveway of an old home filled with love and laughter. A home she had not been back to for so long, save the occasions of gatherings and holidays. Now, though, she was here to seek answers to questions newly ingrained into her mind from the brief visit with that ranger, Michael Wolfe, and the eclectic entourage he had gathered. Especially that woman, whom the ranger kept referring to as a human. Jennifer was her name, right? The front door of the house opened even before the car's engine had turned off, and there, standing in the doorway, was a woman well known to Samantha's eyes. Hastily, the car was parked and made quiet before she opened the door swiftly to close just as rapidly. Before she hastily rushed up the stairs and into her mother's waiting arms. "Oh, my sweet little raisin, how it warms my heart to see you each time." Samantha let out a little laugh at those words and looked up in the warm hug. "I was here just last month for the march, Mama." Her mother just chuckled in turn, her warm hazel eyes with a subtle hint of blue in them. uh. 15 years, not 10, 15 years of being tempted. Of, holding back the temptation. Again, his discipline is otherworldly. Which is part of why he makes such a powerful Wolverine god later. Her mother just chuckled in turn, Her warm hazel eyes with a subtle hint of blue in them filled with naught but love. Locked to Sam's own. She bore the figure of a mother true, near a stereotype made flesh, with an apron and a dress, but one not overly adorned. Her hair was a slightly off black, with a hint of purple hue to it seen in the highlights of light that struck it, which added mystery to her curvy build. Well, when the fledglings leave the nest, it always works me up. Agent Baker broke from the hug, not registering the strangeness of her mother's statement, and instead starting to wander inside. Dad home? No, dear. He's still working at the mill and won't be back until late. Actually, just after the march, the lumber company got bought out. Sorry, throat demons. Slowly, both of them retreated inside and closed the front door, where Samantha was immediately awash in the sense of her childhood coming to the fore once more. Oh? What does that mean for Dad? The mudroom saw them leave their shoes behind, before the pair came into the living room with its soft furnishings and the gentle ticking of an old clock near a fireplace. This is when Julia Baker settled into her comfy chair and looked over to her daughter. Well, the new owners are part of that big conglomerate. You know the one. Her mother searched for the name for a bit, almost wanting to name off some of the companies under it before she snapped her finger. Everglade, that's the one. Apparently work has become lighter at the mill. Your father said the quality of the lumber they are putting out has gotten a lot better. He was also checked and actually got a raise. He's going to be one of the yard bosses for the mill instead of overseeing the lines. Everglade. You know, the agency likely has a file on them. Wouldn't be surprised if it's a mile long. Julia shrugged and reached over to retrieve a glass filled with a special mixture of salts and vitamins worked into some orange juice. Well, who can say? But not everyone is happy. The main owners and board were completely booted out. Well, from what I hear, that's standard practice for Everglade. Once they make a move on a company, they axe the leadership and put their own in. Usually good severance packages, but even so. Don't interrupt your mother, dear. At any rate, you are correct. Your father says the new bosses are shockingly knowledgeable about the trade, and expected them to be some jumped-up suits with degrees and not working men. Samantha raised a brow and looked at her mother, who took a sip of her orange juice and shrugged. Don't look at me, dear. Don't look at me. Not like that. I mean to put like that. Don't look at me like that, dear. This is just what your father described them as. Well, I'm glad Dad is doing well. Everglade got in trouble recently, though. That whole extract debacle really put them through the ringer in the court of public whinging. Julia chuckled some and nodded her head before she finally set the drink aside and looked at her daughter more intently. Just so, dear. Now, if you don't mind my asking, you were rather vague on the phone, Raisin. What was it you wanted to discuss with me? It's when Samantha let out a little sigh and nervously started to rub her hands together, all before she at last settled onto the sofa nearby. Well, Mom, I don't know if you remember, but you used to tell me stories and such. This made her mother raise an eyebrow and lean slightly forward in the chair, waiting for her to go on. Well, even if you don't remember, I had a case recently that had some strange twists and turns. I can't go into it, of course, but someone involved said something interesting. Sammy, dear, my sweet little raisin, You know you don't need to be ashamed of anything. Just tell your mother, preferably within the next year, what you have to ask. Samantha couldn't help but let out a laugh before offering a smile to her mother. The woman was always eager to get to the next part of a conversation, as if she were collecting information all the time. Yes. Well, the thing is, Mother, for nearly the past year... Again, her mother leaned forward this time, and came to rest her chin upon her hands as she waited. I've been having a strange dream. In truth, the same dream, or rather the same context of dream over and over again. What dream is that? In all ways, including physical, I am a burb. Oh boy. Can't wait. Just wait. She tried to hide it, but it was clear as she bit her lower lip and barely held in the shivers that excitement was currently coursing through her veins. Well, I dream of the forests. Immediately her mother began to stand, but she urged her daughter to continue. And then comes the birds, and eventually I'm hopping amongst them, or more likely flying up above the trees. No more words to share for the moment, as Julia came over and threw her arms about her daughter and squeezed her in close. She held her firmly, rocking her side to side as a hand patted her back and soon enough began to whisper softly, "Oh, my sweet little fledgling is going to be a juvenile yet." That at last had tipped off Samantha's oddity scale, as she looked up at her mother, now looming over her. What do you mean, dearie? My sweet little raisin. You're one of the Revorin. That word again. The old memory tickled from her childhood and the refresher back in the forest. I heard him say it, and it reminded me of you, like a distant recall. What does it mean? Her mother slowly leaned back from the hug and looked down to her with a smile. Oh, my dear, there's so much to tell you. Your father's going to be ecstatic. Julia slowly stepped back and was starting to pace around the room, the excitement radiating off of her. You'll get to meet some of your brothers and sisters. My brothers and sisters? What? I'm not an only child? Well, dear, I'm much older than you expect, and your father, though I love him, was not the first in my life. He's a fine raven blood, though. Were it not for the fall of our Ater, you would... Oh, there's just so much I need to tell you, and you need to know. Oh, the shining, that must be first. Samantha felt like her head was spinning around and raised a hand up. Hold up. What do you mean much older? What do you mean much older? Dear, you shouldn't ask a woman her age. Mother, how old? A sly smile came across her face, and then she placed her hands on her hips. I'll be 168 this year. All right, that was it. She was officially in Crazy Town, and at least... She's officially in Crazy Town. Hang on, but I need to do but here. But at least what the ranger had told her was accurate. She also noted that her mother had used other similar words to him, but the main focus right now was on the proud stance her mom took. Well, this may sound like the usual bluster and damning with faint praise. Well, this may sound like the usual bluster and damning with faint praise, but you don't look a day over 40. Julia gave a soft tap of her foot before flicking her daughter in the head with a finger. I'll accept that for the compliment it was meant to be. Now tell me, you said this was related to a case. You didn't give me the details, but who got you on this curiosity? Samantha straightened out her clothes after rubbing out the aching spot on her forehead. A ranger in the forest. Name was Michael Wolf with 2 F's. Oh my. I can't help it sometimes. I take it he was a Wolverine? Yes, that's what he said. A Goothy, to be exact. Man, I cannot do their voices. I can't do it. I'm sorry, chat. I'm trying. Doing the female voice is difficult. Doing 2 different female voices. Oh. Julia folded her arm. Yes, that's what he said. A Goothy, to be exact. Julia folded her arms under her chest and nodded. You'll find a lot of the Vordir will, in some way, advertise who they are, be it intentional or just from old generational names. A lot of Leos, Barings, Foxingtons, Featherleys. Well, I suppose Foxington is a bit off, but sometimes those Volpavan use it as a double bluff. Slowly she turned to look at Samantha more intently and placed her hands on her hips. So he told you that you were Revorin? Well, not at first. He said he smelled something on us, and then asked us what dreams we were having. Said it was very important. Oh, I fucked up here. Oh, I fucked up here real good. Okay, hold on. Ah, yes, that makes sense. The wolves always had such keen senses of smell. Wish we ravens had the same, but credible eyesight and the ability to fly is a very nice bonus. Though you said he asked us. Yeah, let me emphasize this more here, actually. Italics. Finally, Julia settled back into her chair and started to drink more orange juice. The absurdity of her words falling completely to the mundanity of their truth in her life. This is far weirder than the talk in the forest. Julia tilted her head some and took another sip of her orange juice. Anyways, yes, William, the one I told you about before. Well, we're dating now, and we just happened to run into the ranger as part of a new assignment. He said he could smell the raven on me and the wolf on him. Oh? William is a Wolverine too? Slowly her mother leaned back in the chair and looked up in thought. Yes, that's what the ranger claimed. Part of me asking you about the dreams was to get a certainty about other claims the man made. Though William made him incredibly nervous. Something about the length of time he resisted. What do you mean? How long has he resisted the change? Samantha looked at her intently and realized she was showing a strange amount of alarm. Well, 15 years apparently. See, he was... 15 years?! Julia rose from the chair once more and her eyes were wide before she started pacing. Oh, my sweet Raisin, you cannot see this man again. What? Why? It's far too dangerous. He's a walking catastrophe waiting to happen. I damn well will see him again. I love him. Julia let out a strange croaking sound that made Samantha tense up before her mother stared at her. Absolutely not. You have no say in that. Has brought another croak and a rapid tapping of her foot before she finally relented, looking into the defiance of her daughter. Fine, but make that decision after. Basically, yes, Mom, did you just call? Yep, but it's the raven. Ravens don't call, they have like a guttural croak. Also, there's a reason why her nickname is Raisin. Because that's a common thing in people that like go bird watching. That's a common descriptor for like little fledgling ravens. They're known as raisins. So that was her nickname for all her life was Little Raisin. Fine. I'll make that decision after. I want you to spend a few days here with me and your father. We'll fill you in on a lot of the details and give some good warnings, such as about the shinying. Samantha stared at her mom for a long time, looking for any way past the newly dug entrenchment, and at last conceded. Fine. I'll stick around for a couple days, but I'll at least let Will know the reason why. William grumbled a bit at the phone call. Not that he was expecting the man to drop everything in that moment and come meet, but he was suddenly in a vast ocean of unanswered questions, potentials, and mysteries. And that's where we're up to now, finally, for the totally brand new Chapter 11. And then I'll have to switch the next one to do the Chapter 12 rewrite instead of being Chapter 11. Yeah, the shinying. So, Revorin, when they first awaken, they start to develop urges to take shiny things, right? And they just can't help themselves. Like, it's jokingly been called kleptomania, but it's just for shiny objects. Because it's part of, like, wooing a potential suitor, right? It's ingrained into their nature. They can't help themselves. So, part of that is that to functionally pass as a normal person, you need to understand that you might start, like, latching on to shiny things. Like, you might slip some silverware into your purse, or you might walk by and casually grab somebody's loose change without realizing it. So, until you get that under control, like, you need to be made aware of the shinying, is what they call it. Because it's a subtle subconscious thing. Yeah. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, golly gosh. Ooh. Man, we're up to 345 pages in the book. Now, originally in the outline, I didn't have Samantha meet with her mother and father. And I was like, later on, again, once we were deeper into Den of the Arctic Wolf and everything like that, I was like, that's a mistake. I should have her obviously go confer with her parents at some point. At least ask them questions about the dream. And her mother's a Revorin, her father is not. Her father is just Raven blood. But as you can see, unlike Michael Wolff and a lot of the other Vordir that are met, as even Jonathan Ulfither, because again, Ulfither is Winter Wolf. It's pretty fucking obvious. They don't have the Baker isn't directly associated with anything bird-like, but as she explains, like sometimes the Vordir can't help themselves. And other times it's because of ancient generational family names. So, your father's 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 father was Featherly. You're a Featherly. Phew. Oh my god, that is so adorable. What the fuck?
Yeah.
The guy was going by on a lawnmower, and he had a high visibility jacket on. And he was pulling a tractor. And then another guy was behind him on a bike with a high visibility vest on, like a little derpy convoy. Ah, the things you see driving down the streets every now and then. I'm on a tractor, yeah. I'm on a tractor. Well, this one was a lawnmower, but still. I've seen many tractors driving along the roads, that's for sure. Not these roads so much. I think maybe once in a decade you see one on this road. But once you start going out of town, yeah, you can start running into more of the tractor traffic. Especially when they got to drive from one field to the next field to keep work going. Okay, Chad. Okay, right. I am very, very eepy. I didn't even go on my walkies early in the morning. I'm going to have to go on my walkies later. Yeah, no, I went. I was like, okay, I'm a little tired. I went to go to bed, right? I turn around. Hang on. I turn around, and this, I'm going to post in the Discord. I will make sure to... I need to use my phone to type all this in, so give me a second. It's going to take me a little bit. Okay, how do I post it as like a... Is there a way for me to make this... Okay, hang on, wait. I'll post it first. I got an idea. Post it. Alright. Chat, I apologize. But this was right next to my noggin. Okay. Now let me... Take that. Alright. Right next to my head when I tried to get some sleep. And now I can put it as a spoiler. Alright. Yeah. Cool. Cool. Haha! Fuck you, phone. I got around it. Yeah. A big ol' feck off spider. Right next to my head. So, yeah, that did not do wonders for my ability to sleep. I was suddenly wired with a surplus of energy. Yeah, good. Good. Bike riding is good. I was thoroughly displeased with the situation. Oh, no, I have arachnophobia, hardcore. Oh. Oh, I think we got a road thing coming by. Oh, are they picking up all the cones they left out? Alright, yeah. Oh, I hate mosquitoes as well, no, but spiders freak the fuck out of me. And I don't know why it's called a phobia. Like, I think that's a pretty healthy, rational fear. Like, phobia would be something like, I'm afraid of balloons. Like, you know, balloonophobia or whatever. I don't know what it's actually called. That's an unreasonable fear. Have you seen what a brown recluse does when it bites someone? That's not an unreasonable fear. Tiny little thing causing necrosis. Oh my god, no. Fuck that. Fuck that. This makes me want to ask, like, who the hell decides it's unreasonable? Show me the panel of judges. It's like, you know, being afraid of spiders is unreasonable. I bet you I can make that panel afraid of spiders. Let's go into a dissertation about things like the brown recluse. Or orb weavers. Or funnel webs. Like, I think it's some bullshit that it's considered bleh. I think it's bullshit that it's considered an unreasonable fear. Nah, you're all just crazy. You're all just crazy. Wasp, I'm a wasp, fuck you. Bumblebee, I'm just a cute little thing doing pollination. Yeah. Oh! They're repainting the lines. Okay. Yeah, that's fair. Our lines weren't that faded, but, you know, fuck it. Might as well keep them, you know, nice and sharp. No passing. Excuse me. Okay. Alright, chat. Alright. Chat, I don't know what to do. I want to do writing, but at the same time, I'm kind of just like, I'm so kind of tired. I'm just kind of like hazy, like, ugh. So what if we do some more talkings? Yeah. Let's do some more talkies. I'm certainly the Fables comic series is definitely getting weirder, right? The Fables comic is definitely getting weirder as it goes. I'm well past. They've defeated the Empire. Well, sort of. The war with the Empire is over. Mr. Dark arc is done. Now a weird like potential thing where they're trying to get back the business office and everything. Oh, speaking of, actually, that's one thing that has been noted. The remaster looks really good. Like, holy shit. Come here. Let's come here. Just in the screenshots and everything, right? There's a comparison video. We'll watch the comparison video real quick. So you can see, like, what's changed. Because the one thing I'm super glad they did, and I was afraid they wouldn't do. Okay, we're not gonna need. No, we're not gonna need any sound for it. I mean, I guess we can do sound, a little bit of sound. So that's graphics comparing. So the one thing I was afraid they would do is they would just up the texture resolution, right? I was afraid they're just going to up the texture resolution and that's going to be it. You can already see in this picture. Do you notice things in this picture? They didn't just up the resolution. They've actually done model work. Full on actual model work. They have touched up the models and everything and made it. Like, they didn't just change it a little bit. No, look at that carefully. Like, they didn't just change it a little bit. And you'll see especially, like, when we get to some... They've done some pretty extensive work to make it closer towards the comics. Again, copium. Maybe we'll get the proper Bigby Werewolf then. Like what the sequel's going to give us, and not the Wolfman thing. So again, here's it in normal Wolf Among Us. And then they show it in the new one. So you know some of the changes? Like, look at that. Look, proper readjustment of all the lines, proper changes to the models and everything. Like, look at that. Look at just Bigby's shirt. Like, look here at his shirt. It actually has proper folds where the shirt would actually crease and everything. Yeah. She got some more boobs. Some more boobage. Boobs. 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 His hair, much nicer. Her hair, much nicer. Again, her earrings are also more defined. Like, it's a lot better. This is a lot better for, like, stuff that's changed. You can see, again, they didn't just keep it all the exact same, too. They changed the lighting on a lot of the models as well. I mean, just look at the backgrounds. Watch the backgrounds carefully, right? They've changed the placement of things. They've retouched the lighting on everything. Yeah. The only thing I don't like, her normal hand wasn't great. The new hand, I'm kind of creeped out by, though. You know what I mean? New hand looks a little withered. But that's kind of it, right? Everything else, I think, looks great. I think they did a great job of like redefining her. All of it too. And again, Big B I think looks fantastic. This one I think is really fucking neat, right? You'll see what they did. Right? This one kind of highlights it really well. So, you can see the general layout of the scene and everything like that. The tip trap. Boom, the remastered. Look at that. Look at that. They gave it more personality. Gave it more personality in the setting and everything like that. They have more details and texture work on the sides. It's not just a darkened space, right? It's not just a pure darkened space. They gave it some highlights, some dings, some nicks. No, he's not more jacked. He's a little more gaunt, right? The glass has been changed over. And you can see the lighting. Look at the lighting on the glass itself. You can see some of the pictures and stuff in the background have changed. Again, they're making it more like towards the comics. Look at the handle work, too. This is a little bit in the way, but the handle work here, you can see, has been changed. You know, he might be, but it also might be because the camera's a bit closer. Look at Big B. Big B got buffed though. They buffed up Big B. Look at them forearms, baby. Old forearms, new forearms. Look, he's actually got musculature. He's got some proper musculature on him, baby. Boom. Let's see. Reshaped her eyes. Reshaped her lips. Just gave her a bit more, like, depth to it. And the tattoo actually flows better over her chest. Her hair looks so much better. You can see, look, the chalkboard and everything. Look, they even changed out some of the stuff. They added a new bottle for her to get. They changed this from Midas to a boogie. Boogie. Added some Jack. Because there would be, right? I mean, again, it's not just a Fables bar. This is where Mondays would come too. Though, obviously not a lot. This is one of those things they gotta worry about it. Banned. I just realized. Banned. This one, I think, is the craziest one. The difference. The old Mr. Frog and the new Mr. Frog. And the backgrounds, too. Pay attention in the backgrounds. Look at that. See what I mean? Better lighting pass. More defined shadows. Better definition on a lot of the things. Actually making these windows. Yep. They're making him closer towards the comics. Which, again, is why I'm saying I have hope. I have hope that means we're gonna get the proper comic werewolf and not the Wolfman. Just look at that. Look at much more of the detailing that they got on everything too. Some of the more oddities, like that bottle that's just glowing here on the side, now it's been given a proper shading pass and lighting pass. They added a cigarette tray thing, which is very common in building exits. I mean, this wallpaper looks more defined as ripped and ratty. The boards look actually more like what boards would be, instead of having such dramatic swirls. And again, Mr. Frog is just, like, that is a really big pass on him. Yep. And again, I explained in the setting, the reason the glamours are so expensive is because they can't just do, like, you know, they can't mass produce glamours. It takes a lot of effort to make a glamour. Like, yeah, that is a big change. He looks great in the remaster. And look at this. Again, you can see how they've totally redesigned the entryway, added drapes, added more bookshelves and detail in the background, again, like in the comics, because the business office houses their great library as well. It's why Buffkin is actually dangerous in Fables, because, as the Magic Mirror says, he reads. He doesn't have the pretension or the ego of an academic. He reads, he absorbs, he understands, and he has had centuries to read every single book in the library. He knows where so many secrets are and everything. But just look at that. I think that's a huge improvement. Like, that is a big improvement. I like it quite a lot. Not exactly. You can see some changes, right? They redefined his nose. His nose is a bit sharper. So watch, I could put it right here at the tip of his nose. Whoop. Oh, shit. They moved him forward too slightly. Look, his nose is sharper. It's much more angular. He has a bit more of a scowl to him. A bit more scowl to his eye. They emphasized his teeth more. They changed his bow tie and everything. Now it's a proper, like, look at that. Changed the colorations as well. Gave him more a bit of frippery. A bit more finery. And you can see, like, again, the massive detail work they redid on a bunch of stuff. And again, the books are the biggest standout, right? That's so dark back there that might as well be a black void. Might as well be a black void. And now, they just stand out so much more. Oh, yeah. Again, Fables is based on the original fairy tales, not on the Disney variants. So there you go. Now you can kind of see it, right? His nose is a little more angular, a little more hawkish, beak-like, and very much like darker nostrils. Oh my god. Yep. Gotta be fucking careful. There's a lot of darkness in the fairy tales. This one I like because they didn't go overboard with changing Grendel. You'll see what I mean. They gave him upgrades to make it more obvious, and he looks really low quality here. You know what I mean? And then when you see the upgrades to him, look at that. Look at that change. Also, again, the bar. The bar looks a lot nicer. Yeah. Big improvement. Big improvement. Again, he looks like he's unfinished. Right? In the normal Wolf Among Us. He looks kind of unfinished. Now they properly gave him like some scale work and everything like that. He's got a more defined body. His teeth actually look like they're part of him, not just a weird model thing, you know? He looks like less a creepypasta than the remaster. Yep. And I think that's a good thing. I think that's a big improvement. And like I said, they didn't just do the Resident Evil 4 thing, right? Resident Evil 4 remaster, not the remake. The remake is bad. The remake is bad. The remaster is worse. Actually, no. The remake is worse. The remaster is pretty bad, though. The remaster, they just upped the texture resolution without even thinking anything through. Infamously, the boards of wood that look like plastic now instead of looking like wood before. It's so, yeah. They didn't think things through. No, not the HD project. No, the official remaster for Resident Evil 4 back in the day is awful. The HD Resident Evil 4, the Resident Evil 4 remaster is god awful. It's on Steam. Yep. And thank God you could switch between the remastered textures and the old textures. Always play old textures. Don't ever play the remaster textures. They are awful. They look hideous. Again, Grendel looks a lot better in the remaster. Boop. 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 Oh, look, they kind of did swapsies. Look at do you see the swapsies they did? Yeah. So they made it more pronounced on distant lights. The cones, no! That could be easily added back in. But you see, they made it where it's on distant lights. There's the cones still on distant lights. I know it's proper comic style lighting. I like it too. Hopefully, we'll get somebody that can mod that in and just be like, hey, give us the cones back. Give us the coons. The coons. Oh. Man, just look at that. The street is actually more defined with what's there and everything. More garbage. Actual parking meters on the street. This is no longer just a random traffic cone here. It's an actual, like, area that's being worked on. The buildings have actually been redefined. So they make more logical sense. And again, good lighting pass on a lot of it. Again, the cones. I'm sad about the cones too. But you know what? You know what? They're batting above average, right? They're definitely batting above average. But I do miss the comic book cones on the lighting. I will miss it. Oh, this one's a huge change, too. Look at that. A little different. And again, like I said, actual model reworks, right? See? Actual model reworks to be more like what's in the comic. Actual model work done. It's not just basic, like they're not just doing textures. They're actually like going through and passing each model. They're checking each model over again. Oh, excuse me. My apologies, chat. I'm definitely like more hopeful seeing this, where they're clearly keeping the art style, right? They're making sure they keep, like they're intentionally focusing on keeping that art style because that's what matters most. But then they're actually going in and making it more like what's in the comics themselves. What's more actually here, what's more representative of actually stuff in the background, stuff in the business office and everything. Like, I really do like it. But, like I said, I agree with Prosecutor Valentine. I will miss the cones. I'll miss the cones. But somebody can hopefully bring those back in. Or mod those back in. Oh my god, look at that. I didn't realize the chariot back there had no lighting pass on it whatsoever, and now has a lighting pass on it. Do you see what I mean? No lighting, now actually has a lighting pass? That's funny. Yeah, look at that. Look at this old... This is an old treasure chest, and then this is properly, like, with the lid and everything. Yeah, no, I am pleased. I am pleased. Hang on, there was a video. This is funny. Like, let's do this video, just because it's funny, right? We don't need the music. Fuck it, I don't care. We get claimed, right? This comes from a channel, Sal Medits. And again, to be fair, he says it himself. He's cutting out when Big B's going on a rampage, right? But he's doing Big B in the game versus Big B in the comics. So I thought this would be funny. Oh wait, it gives spoilers for the game though. I mean, I didn't care because I already know the overall stuff. Shit, I can't show that. I can't show this. Damn it. Damn it. Who? I mean, they don't show, like, a bunch of stuff. They don't tell you, like, the things of why they're happening. These are just, like, scenarios in the game. No. These aren't from the remaster. These are from the normal, and then he's comparing it to the comics. Like, Big B Wolf in-game versus Big B Wolf in the comics. That's what this video is. Yeah, so I can't do that. I can't do that one. What's this? Hold on. There's. What is Fenris from? Like, this Fenris, I mean. What's this Fenris from? This is just, like, silly. This is one of those stupid versus things. You know what I mean? What is this Fenris from? Oh, is that supposed to be from, That's from Thor Ragnarok? I don't remember Fenris being in Thor Ragnarok. Huh. Yeah, I don't remember it. Winner? It's, I don't know. These are always the stupidest things. These, like, I don't know why everybody wants to do these, like, versus things. You know what I mean? All the time. That's a trend that took off a couple years ago, and just everybody was like doing verses over and over and over again. No, power scalers are fine. Again, there's a difference. You need to know power scale. You need to know power scaling. It's when you compare it to other ones. That's the versus mentality. But power scaling you need to know because you need to know the proper stakes and weight of things that are going on. Like, you have to know power scaling. If there's no such thing as power scaling and things can just happen to happen, you don't have any consistency. The problem is when you take power scaling too far, right? That's when it becomes only about that. Yeah, you need the consistency with it. And again, you can have somebody getting better over time, but you need to take that into account for other things too, right? And like I said, that might be a bit of a... It might be a bit of a, like, thing that people don't recognize. I'm curious on this one because this one just seems so silly. Big B Wolf in the comics versus Sabretooth in the comics. Hold on. Just because these just seem like such silly matchups. strength. Again, it gets hard. This is the kind of verses that gets difficult because Big B Wolf is literally the god of wolves. Literally. Like, it's made abundantly clear with what happens in the comics. He is not just like a demigod or anything like that. No, he is a full-on god. And that gets, again, at first, you're humming and hawing, and then you realize as the dominoes and pieces are falling together that no, Big B is genuinely an actual fucking, like, straight up god. He has his own afterlife and everything. And you get to see Wolf Heaven in some of it. Maybe. I was gonna say. Okay. And literally was a spy in World War II. Is all about commando operations, everything like that. Is really good at battle tactics and everything. So yeah. Whoa, what was that? Hold on, what was that? Experience. What got him his own fighting skills? Fighting skills? I don't know. Again, chat, we're just doing this because it's silly. You're giving Sabretooth. Did you literally give Sabretooth fighting skills? Agility or speed? Highly debatable. What do you mean by speed? What do you mean by speed? Like, Big B can literally move faster than the wind. He is a, like, again, he is a freak. No, speed and stamina are not the same. Speed is the quickness of something. Stamina is your ability to maintain. No, agility is your... Okay. Stamina is your, like, ability to keep going. Your ability to maintain the capabilities of which you're using. Speed is how quickly, snappy, explosive you are. Agility is more like flexibility, movement, capabilities to utilize your body. Again, see, he's millennia old. How did Sabretooth fighting ability? Big B is millennia. He's millennia old. He gets in so many fucking fights. And again, before the amnesty, he was like slaughtering armies and shit like that by himself. Experience, yep. Anger empowerment, yeah, when he turns into the full god form. Mortality, yes. Brutality, yep. Healing, yep. Literally comes back from the fucking grave, yes. Power. Big B Wolf wins, low diff. Yeah. I don't know how you gave him fighting skills, though. Dude was a fucking spy. Like, really good in hand-to-hand combat, destroying entire armies by himself. I don't understand. I don't understand versus peoples. I don't understand versus peoples. Must be my old man showing. I don't understand. There's just so many weird. There's so many weird fucking videos. "28 episodes of Wolf Among Us?" I guess we were doing like 20 minutes an episode or something. I don't fucking know. Yeah, Skatari got released yesterday. I don't know anything about their like skill tree or anything. You know, let's look at that. You're not gonna let me actually see the skill tree, are you? Oh, here we go. Here we go. Okay. Okay. I don't know what this website is, but yeah, here you go. .games lantern, apparently. Well, this is interesting. So we branch out from the middle? That's interesting. Okay. One guy made his character and called it Servo Skull. Clip that. Clip it. Clip it. Clip it. All right, let's see what the big ones are. %50 rending. Damn. Holy shit. So just, yeah, just fucking auto aim system. That's nice. Okay. And then our abilities. Armored and specialist enemies dealing massive damage and impact. That's pretty fucking tasty. Shoot nearby enemies. You can also order it to complete a data interrogation. Oh my god, so hands free. Like, go interact with that while I keep fighting. That's nice. Oh, tank build. Yep, tank build. Okay. I have to see. I have to see someone how they utilize that in a build. I can think of ways, but I don't know if this would be worth it compared to stuff like this. You know what I mean? Like, especially getting extra ability charges out of it. And this. When you say damage, I assume you'd have to get past the toughness, right? And take actual health damage? Is that what you mean? Or is it just straight up damage, any source of damage? So like a gunner could plink all of your stacks off instantly. Questions. I have questions. I've got questions. Do you have answers? Last until death. That's pretty fucking nice. Okay, that makes that more worth it. This makes it more worth it. If you're good at plink plonking. Yeah. There's just 30 kills each time, or 15 of the elite and specialists. That's not bad. To get this going, get this booster going. Get another one so you can get another ability charge. This could be crazy to get this. No cooldown on it. Okay, yeah. Yeah. I can see some of the... I can see some potential here. I have to think thunk on how to work everything. It took a while to like come up with the crazy derpy builds I have. You know, I'd have to think thunk on it. Yeah. Yeah, think thunk. Think thunk, ping pong. Ooh, do you get double daggers or double blades? Oh, that could be fun. Holy shit. Holy shit, chat. Oh. Okay. Okay, what's some other fun stuff we've been looking at? Oh, goodness sakes. My guy's name is meant to be Survivor spelled. Nice. In game, it's Silkrow. For some reason, I didn't like 7012. Your old laptop installed Linux and I'm trying to type something. Hooray! Welcome, Anti-Boy Scout. Welcome. Welcome on the Lunix. Wonder what cosmetics they have for this Qatari. Oh well. Eh well, eh well, eh well. Right. No, I've got no idea. I don't even know what mint technically is. So your guess as good as mine. I've got no idea, Anti-Boy Scout. The new Steam OS has been released. They got posted in the Discord. The new Steam OS is out. If you have an AMD card and everything like that, it works really well. Steam's working to get it working with NVIDIA and Intel stuff. But for now, yeah. If you have AMD, get Steam OS. Okay. Alright, Chad. I really don't know what to do for the stream. We've just been talking a bunch. Pretty bunch. I don't think the age matters of it. I think they just said as long as it's AMD, it should work. I'm gonna check something real quick. Version 16 of Shad PS4 dropped. Ooh, they haven't tested the US version on 16 yet. What's the EU version? Okay. Neat. Use a three-toed foot in the deluxe DLC arms. I like their servo skull cosmetics the best. Nice. Oh. Meanwhile, we're waiting on the expansion for Grim Dawn. Rapar had a wee bit of a dyslexia moment and thought it was June 23rd. No, it was July 23rd when Fangs of Asterkarn comes out. And we'll get our werewolves. Werewolves in Grim Dawn, hell yes. Hell yes. Oh. Alright. No, I'm gonna go to the bathroom real quick and get myself some food started. BRB a momento, chat. Then I don't know what to do. Because I need to think carefully on the next writing part here. So maybe we'll open up Obsidian and start doing some work in it. But yeah, BRB a momento. Apologize for being so long, chat. Make myself some chicken cheese nachos real quick. Chicken cheese nachos. Oh, the block attack for the new Skitari baton with charge on creates a wave electric energy in front of you. That's what they're not sure about the old weapons. Nice. Tasty, tasty. So, chat, I just started thinking about it. There's another game I think you guys would find funny. I'm not saying it's good in the slightest, but this game came out 16 years ago. Or something like that. And, yeah, I think we should try to find it and play it on stream. Right? Let's try to find it and play it on stream. Oh, you'll see.
Eidos.
Eidos. Oh no!
First of many atrocities you will witness.
You know it, you know it.
On his animal friends. Here's another fine example of human barbarism.
Yeah, I played this yonks back. Way back.
Put it back.
Oh my god. It's a game that's ostensibly about animal cruelty, but it was done as like a joke. And it has like the humor in it is like spooky as shit. Oh shit, don't let Pyro Cynical see that.
Mindless destruction. That's it. Just needless, maniacal, frenzied chaos. More hours on my way to the navigator anyway.
Yeah, so, yeah. We will, I'll try and get that for my PCSX2, and we will play it. It is a kooky game, to say the least. And it has moments that just like, I remember there are just moments where you pause and you're like, the fuck is this cutscene? Why? You know, they're cutscenes that just make you go, why? Why do you exist? Chat will not be prepared for it. No, absolutely not. It's like a drug trip. Now, I'm not saying it's a good game at all. It's probably going to be miserable to play because God knows I haven't played it in like yonks. But I will say it's a unique experience. Now, hang on. Let me do this. I will let's show one cutscene. Is this it? Okay, here we go, here we go.
An example of human barbarism. The hamster cannon.
The hamster cannon!
That's just plain mean.
Woo! Yeah, woo!
We must put an end to this experiment.
Chat, you're not prepared. You're not prepared. That'll be a fun one. That'll be a fun one for sure. Yep, get back in there. We need to short circuit the thing. We need to short circuit it. It hurts us, precious. It hurts us. Oh my God. Oh, hang on a second. Wait. Chat. I kind of want to show you a thing, a pretty funny,
You'll notice that something.
I don't know, here you go. Sorry, Chad, I got distracted while I was eating. So this comes from a tabletop role-playing group called World of Io. And they have some funny things. I've been actually going through this this campaign already. This is the like season finale, but it doesn't matter. Like this kind of tells you all you need to know about this group.
You'll notice that something is giving chase to you. Junie, would you like to introduce your character, please?
Yeah, pick it up, boys. Woo!
She's gonna smack her axe beak on the ass and she's gonna say, "Get out of here, Chevrolet. I love you." Go, run! She loses breath around 25 feet. She like puts her hands on her knees and leans over. Oh, fuck. Oh, it's been such a long time.
You were not fast enough. Stop it.
Yeah, no kidding. You weren't fast enough.
Chevrolet.
Piece of wrecked my shop. I put down the sword. You know how many years it's been?
I don't.
You never ask a woman that, okay? Lesson number 1.
Boom. Sucker, you fell
Okay,
for
but-
it.
So Tech looks
But
at
I-
Shao and sort of shakes his head like,
You should have known, bro.
You'll know
You should have known, bro. Again, this was such a great introduction to a new character because the other character died. So this is such a great introduction to a new character joining the campaign.
notice that something
I just love this start. This start lets you know everything you need to know about this retired adventurer.
is giving chase to you. Junie, would you like to introduce your character, please?
Yeah, pick it up, boys! Woo!
Yeah, pick it up, boys! Woo! Oh my god. They have a lot of fun stuff like that, right? I haven't done the hardcore Curse of Strahd. I should. This one's good.
To sell your
This one's really good because this one Tomatoes in the group.
Would you be willing to sell your tonics for 23 gold? Because that's the deal that the guild has going on.
The guild that you
Price
don't want
match.
to make a persuasion check at
boy, oh boy.
disadvantage.
We're just being leashed around town to watch Sybil try to
Haggle, you have out haggled this one time if it gets you out of my shop.
Oh, but look, all I'm saying is that I'd rather do business with upstanding individuals.
How much are you purchasing?
How much do we want to buy?
I don't even need any.
I have 4 on me currently.
Me too. How about you, Bubs?
I also have 4.
Holy
Why are we here?
Would you be willing to...
She just had to haggle. She can't help herself. I'm just gonna haggle. We don't need to haggle. We don't even need anything at these shops. But fuck it, we're gonna haggle. Why are we here? Why are we even here? What's the most American name you can think of? Well, it had to be George Washington, right? We need more healing potions. I don't care. Most American name. Maybe... Colt? Colt Charger. There you go. Colt Charger. Oh! Colt Moses Charger. That'll be it. There you go. A Western gunslinger. No, I was just thinking of it like a Western gunslinger. There comes Colt Moses Charger, coming into the rough and tumble town. And he'd be one of those douchebags. Hey, wait, no. He'd also do one of those things where it's CMC, but the second C is backwards, right? That would be his logo. Colt Moses Charger. I mean, we'll see. That is bad because it's for Prime, but we'll see. Because Gendy does good work, especially animated work. Yeah. Uh, whew. Yep. Yeah. What'd you want the name for, you two Boy Scout? Excuse me. My chicken cheese nachos. Yum 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 yum. A book character. Nice. Colt Moses Charger. Yeah. Alright. Wait, you didn't want Colt Moses Charger? Come on, CMC. Yum, 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 yum. Oh, yum, 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 delicioso. Okay. I'll show you guys what I'm looking at. Just doing this. Plink plonk away. Oh. That's stuff for the setting. Ah, interesting. That'll be fun, by the way, doing the thing for each of the casts, because the Spea are kind of the lankier looking wolves, all right, where their arms are a little bit longer. They don't have as much musculature on them. And when I say a little bit longer, I don't mean like a foot longer or things like that. I mean like an inch or two longer than another Wolverian's. But you combine that with the lack of musculature, and it makes it look even longer than it is, right? Like, which way do you put this? Hold on a second. Is there a diagram that shows this? Okay. It's not what exactly I want, but this will work. This will work for the purposes of what we need it for, right? So, you see like this? See? This arm, even though they're the exact same length, right? They're all the same length of arm. This arm looks lanky. Looks like it's been stretched out because the lack of musculature isn't giving it definition. When you go up in the definition of muscle, you see that the arm looks, visibly to your mind, shorter because the proportions are now more in effect, right? This is essentially what I'm talking about when it comes to the Wolverin, right? The Spea, if they don't take good care of themselves, they have more of arms like this, right? It's the same length, or just slightly longer, not much, but like slightly longer, and it looks super lanky because they don't have the muscle mass to fill it out, to trick you into thinking it's shorter. Whereas the Wrecker would obviously, like, their arms seem shorter. They aren't, but they seem shorter because their muscle mass is so big. They're so bulky. And that's if a Spea doesn't do anything, right? Like, a Spea can get towards muscles like this, if they put in the hard work. Nom 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 nom. Yeah. Anyways. Add spay to dictionary. I didn't know I didn't have it already. Okay. So essentially, like, it just gives that disconcerting feeling. Oh, actually, speaking of, hold on a second. Most satisfying sound in the world? I'm trying to work through these. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. My. Escuchi. Escuchi. This is Mug Floats Vanilla Howler. And I liken it to what happens, the mug you drink after the ice cream, you've eaten all the ice cream in the ice cream float. The stuff that's left over afterwards. Yep, mug rooty beer. Rooty beer mug. Alright. Okay. For bark root beer, for floats, the spice isn't lost in the vanilla. That's fair. I think, yeah, for floats, I think I can agree with that. I've also really been enjoying sarsaparilla. Oh, I like me some good old sarsaparilla. Oh boy, sarsaparilla. But yeah, I just kind of like the Barks is has a bit more bite to it. You know what I mean? Whereas Mug is a little sweeter. That's just kind of how they go. You know. Oh, excuse me. Excuse me. Oh. Oh, how lovely. How lovely. It's... And become... Each 5 forms does traits across casts. I agree with that, Anti-Boy Scout. I agree. Telltale. Telltale. Whoops. Invariance. Okay, there we go. So hopefully this makes sense, right? So I'm gonna read back through this and let me know if this all makes sense. Is this all information that you're clearly like able to put together? The Wolvarin's body shape and musculature is dependent upon the caste from which they are born into. Those born under the lesser moons of the New and Crescent tend to have slimmer builds, with the New Moon Speya being widely considered lanky at worst to slightly athletic. The obvious opposing side to this are the greater moons of the Gibbous and Full, whose muscle mass gives the illusion that they have less reach than the Speya and Guthi. Each of the 5 forms does share universal traits across the castes, such as the 4 toes of the Wolvarin, Vargr, and Ulfr forms. Thus, the main distinguishing factor for identification of caste is the overall size and musculature of the individual Wolvarin themselves. Accurate identification can be crucial when engaging potential Fallen Vordir threats, such as the Smilers. Across sexes, there are the usual telltale signs, such as breasts for female Wolvarin and a sheath for the males. Males are also larger than the female variants, with most noting a 6-inch drop in height compared to the maximums and minimums of each caste. As example, a Hrrkl male could be 8'6" up to 10 foot tall, while the female range is observed to be 8 foot up to 9'6" in height, in variance. Alright, does that all make sense? Does that all, like, make sense? Okay. Excuse me. And again, like I said, usual telltale signs, obviously, if it's got tits, it's probably, probably a woman. If it's got dangly bits, a sheath, then it's definitely a man. If you got mounds, either fat or woman. If you got dangly bits, you're a man. Grounds. Oh my goodness. Okay. Because they can't sink, they ain't got no stones to weigh them down. Sure they do. They got them on their chest though, instead of between their legs. Oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Testing between the casts. Obvious differences in healing potential are massively lopsided. Nation of Ow! I missed the thing, and then by that point my eyes were closing and things like that, and it's like, oh, it's too late. Ow, excuse me. Excuse me. You know what I'm gonna do? Hold on a second. Let's do it like this, just to make it more. Like that. Yeah, yeah. Landing. Okay. In further testing between the casts, the obvious differences in healing potential are massively lopsided. Rigorous examination of the Wolverine has shown that the Speya are the least capable of handling catastrophic bodily harm, able to regenerate or regrow damage roughly 3 times in short succession. On the flip side, the Hrrkl can regenerate/regrow 7 times in short succession, lending more credence to the nigh unstoppable feeling of the so-called living siege engines. Yeah, Hrrkl, again, Hrrkl are the, like, you are the tank. You are the thing that is the biggest target. You're the biggest target in the room, and you're going to take the most damage. But, yeah, you are, like, you can regrow shit quickly. And it's a metric thing, right? Like, this is the thing where it's in short succession. Okay? You've seen it in Den of the Arctic Wolf where, like, Hilda, for example, had to tap out of the fight with the fallen. Hilda had to tap out, as did Richard. They both had to tap out of the fight against the Wolverine Smiler. Like, the Smiler was a Hrrkl, and he brutalized Hilda so much that she was like, she had to regrow major, like, organ damage, major, like, catastrophic bone damage, getting, like, tossed around like a rag doll and slammed and everything. Like, clearly, lots of internal bleeding would have been happening. So, she burned through her regenerative capabilities quickly and needed to basically reset. She needed to get away and let her body, like, reacclimate and re-prepare itself. It's why Wolverine fights are usually very, very quick. They've come down with the quickest thing you want to do is get the enemy's head off as fast as possible. Because you do not want to get into a war of attrition. Now, you could probably do it if you're going against a Speya or something like that. Then, yeah, they have to war of attrition you, and they're on the losing side of it. But as Alex, David, Richard, and Hilda in Den of the Arctic Wolf were very much on the losing side of that equation when it came to the chieftain, the corrupted chieftain, because he was a Hrrkl. So, you don't want a war of attrition or Hrrkl. You need to go quick, fast. You need lots of catastrophic damage in a hurry. So, taking arms off, taking off, or like ripping out organs, or the game winner is taking the head off. If you can get the head off, now that doesn't kill them. That's the thing that needs to be emphasized. If you take a Wolverine's head off, they aren't dead yet. If you were to somehow reintroduce their head back to their body, it will reattach itself. And they will basically like reboot, like as if you're turning back on a computer. It's only after a set amount of time of the head being whoop and gone that the body will eventually die and wither. And then once that happens, they're done for. Now, you could save a Wolverine that has been withered if you have a Goofy. The Goofy are the healers. They're the ones in contract with the more like deep connection to the spirit realm. They're the ones that can work the spirit magics to actually start rebuilding the body. And by that I mean they'll just take where the head has been lopped off and they'll start like regrowing the neck and then regrow a part of the chest. Once that's started, the body will eventually kick in to like it'll basically like power back on. Yeah, basically that. 100% JoJo. That's why they when they take the head off of a Smiler or a Hellhound, they kick it away. They move the head away from the body as much as possible because they want no chance of like it getting knocked back towards the body, colliding with it, and then regrowing, reattaching itself. So you have to keep them clean. And remember, that's if you take the head off. If you crush the head down, which is what happened to Richard when he got picked up and literally driven into the ground by the Wrecker. He was driven into the ground, it crushed his skull in and shattered everything. He was like crunched in like a fucking like telephone pole into the ground. So his body was already rebuilding itself because in essence, he didn't have his soul moved up out of it. That's what happens when you take the head. When you actually lop the head off, that takes the soul with it. Now, you don't need to do that. Again, you can War of Attrition a Wolverine down. You don't want to, but you could. Like, if a Goofy, for example, took a tank shell, like, that's some pretty catastrophic damage. They could probably regenerate from the first tank shell, but the second one's going to put them down for good. Because, remember, it's 3, for them, it's 4 in quick succession. And the 4 would be, like, the bones, the organs, like the connective tissues, and things like that. So they would basically burn through all of it in the one go to repair that such catastrophic damage. And so then if they took another big catastrophic hit like another tank shell, then yeah, they're basically donezo. Morning, Gorfun. Yeah, we're basically talking about how the like physiology of everything works, right? Like the regenerative factors, the healing factors, and everything. Why Wolverine combat is very much combat doctrine for the Vordir when fighting other Vordir is very much geared towards the speed and efficiency of removing the head, because they don't want to get in wars of attrition with each other, because they could take a fuck ton of punishment. Like, if you go a couple rounds without taking another catastrophic hit, you will regenerate your hit ratio of regeneration, right? It will come back. So say like a Wrecker gets smoked and gets his arm cut off, and he regenerates his arm. And then for the next rounds of combat, he's avoiding it or using the shield to block. He's not getting hit. He's down to 6 in quick succession, and then after a couple rounds, he goes back up to 7. And it's not like, it doesn't go from like, if he's down to his last 1, he doesn't go back up to 7, but if he's down to his last 1, it's a couple rounds of combat, he gets up to 2. And then up to 3, and then up to 4, and so on and so forth. That's why you do not want to get in a war of attrition with a Wrecker, especially. That's what makes the full moon shield such a good thing. You know what? It says it translated you, Rapar, but it didn't change anything. Literally. It literally didn't change anything, but it says you've been translated. Here, I'll show you. See? Look, you got translated. That's what that little symbol means. But look, it literally didn't change anything. Well done. Well done. AI is wonderful. Oh, I know. Also, like I said, I can already hear the screeching of the femoids now. But yes, the female, there is no female, like, that is bigger universally than the males. The males are bigger overall than the females. Now, again, as was pointed out, Sarah was taller than the Hrrkl that they were fighting, the Smiler, but she is a tall female Hjaldarskald. But she still cannot compare to the same size as another Hjaldarskald. If there was a tall male Hjaldarskald, they would dwarf her instead. Yeah, Sarah was like 8'10" in her form. The Smiler was like 8'7". That's how Michael knew the Smiler couldn't possibly be a Guthi or Speya. Oh, yes. Yeah. This, again, that's why I specified it's the Wolverine, right? The Wolverine. The Revorin are going to be different because that's their species thing, right? But same thing in wolves. Wolves in real life, they are, the males are bigger than the females. That's just how it is. Male wolves bigger than female wolves. Alright, anyways. Okay, what's some other stuff to do for physiology? That won't be covered in, like, each individual section. Because, like, we can obviously talk about, like, the height changes and everything like that between all of these, right? And we can talk about in more detail what each of these will actually look like. So this is more like supposed to be universalized physiology. The Wolverine species as a whole. Oh, maybe we can talk about the extension towards the wolf bloods. Some basic differences are also present within the wolf bloods, or blood of the wolf. Wolf bloods, hang on. Blood of the wolf. Brother / sister wolf. Kin of the wolf, etc. Like, again, then the names are many. Sister wolfkin. Kin of the wolf, wolfkin. That's the last one. Again, myriad names depending on who says it, what group is saying it, so on and so forth, right? So I add a dictionary. Wolf bloods. Add wolfkin to the dictionary. Okay. Who are Vordir kin share the same genetic blood as the Wolverine and can potentially awaken into full Wolverine status. These differences between wolf bloods share a commonality of moon phase like their Wolverine casts. As example, a Yalder Skull, a wolf blood born under the gibbous moon. They'll have a stronger memory like the Yalder Skull awakened Wolverine. And give evidence towards the moon they are born under. Full moon wolf bloods will have easier time building muscle and stamina through training. Crescent moon wolf bloods will find themselves drawn towards spiritual energy and mysticism. Spiritual energy, mysticism, and what's the way to put it? And occult curiosity. Let me change this. I'm gonna do this in order. Yeah, let's do this in order. So add to dictionary. They're literally the same thing. Have an easier time building muscle and stamina through all being drawn physical labors. Those bloods born. Let's see. Let's keep it consistent. Gibbous wolf bloods will have stronger memories, more creative mindsets, and times are drawn towards martial arts practices. Half moon wolf bloods be drawn towards mysteries, investigations, law enforcement careers, and often times enjoy solving problems. It's not a world building site. It's a thing you download called Obsidian, and it lets you build your own wiki, basically, as it were, right? And then you can actually see how do I... Here we go, graph view. You actually see it like this, right? So now you can actually see like how everything branches out and branches together. You know? Like what's interconnected, what isn't. Do I have a Vordir that's a create link? Oh, whoops. Okay, there we go. Yeah. There we go. Cleaner. Okay. Yeah, and then this will let you know like what's interconnected to what and things like that. It's a really nice system. Very nice system. And then I can actually like take and drag and like put these in different places, right? So we want to do it like that. And do say like wolf head there. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, so now as you can see, you can kind of see how the Divine Mandate is linked in both, so now it's connected here. So yeah, that's basically like the way it works. I like this as a system, so you can see what all goes where, and obviously we can check on multiple things, right? And like this lets me think about like what others think, what does Rosentia think, what does the Golden Dawn Imperium think, what does the Dwarven Clan Holds think, what do the Sahir think, what do the Swaha think? You know, just stuff like that. I like this system quite a lot. And are the most even-headed. Crescent Moon Wolfbloods will find themselves drawn towards spiritual energy, mysticism, and occult curiosity. Most open minds. Be most open-minded. Okay. All right. So, some basic differences are also present within the wolf bloods. Blood of the wolf, brother/sister wolfkin, kin of the wolf, wolfkin, who are Vordir kin that share the same genetic blood as the Wolverine and can potentially awaken into full Wolverine status. These differences between wolf bloods share a commonality of moon phase like their Wolverine casts. As example, a full moon wolf blood will have an easier time building muscle and stamina through training, while likely being drawn towards physical labors. Gibbous wolf bloods will have stronger memories, more creative mindsets, and oftentimes are drawn towards martial arts practices. Half-moon wolf-bloods will be drawn towards mysteries, investigations, law enforcement careers, and are the most even-headed. Crescent moon wolf-bloods will find themselves drawn towards spiritual energy, mysticism, and occult curiosity, and are the most open-minded. While new moon wolf-bloods tend to be the most quiet, reserved, and sneaky of all, giving them greater experience towards fulfilling their awakened duties should they ever truly awaken. Like, does that make sense? I think that would be a fun, like, campaign. Like, if you had a group of people that were just playing, like, Wolfbloods, like, you weren't playing actual Wolverines, you were just playing Wolfbloods, which are kind of just, like, people plus. I'll just kind of explain that here. Aside from the, like, benefits they get from that, they are a little bit, they're a little more robust. Nothing that would, like, raise alarm bells. They don't, like, have Wolverine regeneration or anything. But they tend to get sick less often. And they tend to be a little bit stronger and a little more durable than a normal human would be. Or a normal, whatever their base species would be. The benefits granted from the moon of their birth. The wolf-bloods tend to be a little more durable and hardy. I'm trying to remember how to spell hardy. Is it that? Hale and hardy? Or is it actually that? Hold on a second. Hale and hardy. Okay. Oh yeah. It is hearty. Nope, it's not hardy. It's literally hearty. This is actually it for hale and hardy. Durable, hale, and hardy. Will not arouse suspicion by trained medical professionals or biologists, but would resistance to sickness and heal from injury a little faster than a normal mundane member of the base species. Okay. Yeah. Like I said, they're not like superhuman or anything like that. They have a little bit more. They're basically just people plus, right? It's just people plus. They're not anything crazy like if you cut their finger off, they don't get their finger back or anything like that. They will if they awaken as a Wolverine. The Wolverine will fix a lot of the problems. The one thing is if it is a compact or concord of the spirit world, then it won't. So like if a spirit steals your vision, you don't get that back if you awaken to being a Wolverine. You will be blind in your Wolverine form as well. Now, you'll be a lot more capable of going to kick that spirit's ass and getting your vision back, but you know what I mean? You don't suddenly it's not a fix-all for literally everything. But if you were a normal wolf blood and you accidentally cut off a finger or something like that, like, say there was a slip or something like that, or your finger got caught in a door and had to be, like, amputated or whatever, like, that would come back. That would regenerate. Your regenerative capabilities have now gone into the ability to regrow things that are missing. But you wouldn't. You don't have that as a Wolverine. As a wolf blood. But you know how fun that would be, like an actual campaign, just a group of people all being all different phases of wolf bloods, and then partway through the campaign, that could be part of your reward is you start having the dreams. I think that would be a neat power progression to go from being wolf bloods into fresh pups that need training and further guidance and everything, and having to deal with people's first awakenings. I think that would be neat. I had something vaguely like that for the RPG idea I have, but you already are having the dreams at the start of the RPG. That's kind of more like the... It's not the, like, inciting incident or anything like that, but it's more of the, like, that's why you have actual Wolverine that are like, alright, future pup, come here. You know, we're starting your training early before you awaken, and also it lets us keep our eyes on you. Because they're gonna need to know, like, when you start to flip shit, they're gonna need to know, alright, are we gonna need to cover things up? Did he flip out in a good location? Can we try to box him in? Can we try to force the change elsewhere? And I might make those maybe like a mechanic of the game itself. Like, you have choices, kind of like you saw in Wolf Among Us. You'll have choices, and there'll be a timer. The player won't know the first time through, right? But they'll kind of understand how the system works the second time through. There'll be warning signs, so it won't catch people off guard. But they'll be, like, obvious, like, you're not feeling great, you're feeling really tense and apprehensive, stuff like that, and it's like, where do you want to go? And if you pick I want to go to the local library, well, you're going to have your awakening in the local library, right? And that causes all kinds of problems in and of itself. Or, like, I'm feeling really tense and apprehensive, I'm going to go back to the Aether. I'm going to go back to the Steinwerke, and going to get some training in. You're going to have your awakening at the Steinwerke. So there'll be more, like, you won't have any consequences, or things won't need to be cleaned up or anything like that. The Wolverine that are there will obviously be able to kind of corral you and wrangle you to make sure, like, you don't do anything crazy. I'm riding Big Thunder Railroad at Disneyland / GM baseball. Yeah, I think that's the way I would do it as a system. Like, again, give you warning signs that, you know, you feel like, it basically be like, you feel like a pressure vessel that's waiting to erupt. You know what I mean? Have those warnings and have, like, your character give audio things, like maybe lots of, like, tense grunting or kind of teeth, like going... You know what I mean? Like, you're really trying to hold something in. Like, you're really, really fucking tense. Things are not going well. And then basically being like, well, you decided, even though you're clearly, like, the blade is cutting the rope, you decided you were still going to risk it anyways. So, it's your own fault. You brought it on yourself. The lucky part, I guess that could be... Oh, I could mention that here. Finally, a well-documented phenomena of the awakening process is the intense release of energy, most often associated with electrical arcs. In times of antiquity, this was considered symbology of the divine awakening of spirit melding with flesh. Symbiology? Is symbology wrong? No, that's correct. What? What's symbiology? That's bioscience. No, symbiology is also correct. Symbology, or not symbiology. Symbology is also correct. I went and made sure I looked it up. But let's do symbolic. Of the divine awakening of spirit melding with flesh. In more contemporary times, where cameras and technology have become ubiquitous. Hey, I got it right. I was like, I remember ubiquitous was a weird one. Ubiquitous. The expulsion of electrical current has the added benefit of overloading security systems and cameras, allowing for a shrouding effect. Security systems, phones, and cameras, allowing for a shrouding effect in the modern world. Yeah. Finally, a well-documented phenomena of the awakening process is the intense release of energy, most often associated with electrical arcs. In times of antiquity, this was considered symbolic of the divine awakening of spirit melding with flesh. In more contemporary times, where cameras and technology has become ubiquitous, the expulsion of electrical current has the added benefit of overloading security systems, phones, and cameras, allowing for a shrouding effect in the modern world. So essentially, like, yeah, when you release, it is such a, like, burst of energy that it's going to blow the security cameras, overload, like, the servers that are connected to it and computers and everything, knock the lights offline, and take out people's cell phones and stuff like that. And that was by design. Again, the Wolverine don't need to know when it's, like, ye olde days, days of yore, and things like that. They don't need to know the true purpose of it. It's only once you start getting into there are security cameras and things like that around and in existence now that suddenly, oh, that release of energy, okay, so yeah, the gods were smart. They knew what was coming, and this is kind of like a security blanket to be like, yeah, this thing is going to fry computers and technology, circuit boards, motherboards like that are going to get zapped by this shit when you awaken. That's why they don't get caught in the middle of the act. Like, you get caught because of the aftermath, the cleanup. And once you kind of come down from the wrathful nature of the awakening, once you come down from it, the spirits kind of usher you away to the other side. Your awakening has like a ripple effect in both sides of the mirror. So it kind of creates like a safe zone buffer in the wilding. So when you get pulled into the wilding by the spirits, there's like a safety net around everything. But then, of course, comes the obvious, like, okay, how the fuck do you explain this? Which, again, is why the false Ulfer exists in universe and in canon. Why do they exist in universe and in canon? Well, for stuff like this. The ability to cover up. The NDA, or whichever, like, agency is responsible for it in whichever country it is, will come in and be like, yep, clearly one of them werewolves. Now, again, what they think is a werewolf versus what it actually is a werewolf. They're wrong. They don't understand the truth of it or anything. But that's what the false sulfur are for. To plant misconceptions, to plant misunderstandings of what the Wolverine actually are. And also to be the fall guy when they can't cover up things like that. Like, they couldn't cover up Michael's slaughter fest, for example. Like, he was stupid, and he fully admits that he was dumb, and he just went ham. There's no way to cover it up, so they had to just trust that the NDA was going to come in and be like, nope, it's NDA business. And then shuffle it away to cursed humanoid wolf. Right? Not realizing that that's not what actually happened. Jonathan's awakening, by the way, is kind of depressing and sad in that Jonathan, when he was young, when he went under his awakening, he went to go call on a girl who he had been dating for a while. And he goes into her house, and her father's like trying to give him the hints that she's not a faithful person. And John didn't pay attention to the other hint of the fact that there was another boy's bike at the house. And the father is basically like, trying to be like, you know, she's doing something terrible, and I don't want you to get hurt, John. He goes up to the room, catches the two of them in the act. John is, of course, devastated, and that kind of like finally is the final nail in the coffin, the crack that starts it going. He starts getting incredibly upset, and he's starting to undergo the change. The father comes up because he hears it, and he needs like, okay, I need to break things up, right? Break it up, break it up. Obviously, there's bad blood going on for logical reason, right? John had his heart broken and torn out in front of him. That's what the dad's thinking. He goes up there and he sees the monster, right? He sees John in his awakening. John is lunging towards the daughter and the cheating boyfriend, the new fling that she's with. And the dad, without hesitation, throws himself in the way to try to spare his daughter, right? And it's what John remembers the most, was the man who sacrificed himself for his daughter. He doesn't have fond memories of her because he puts together all the pieces that she was kind of a skank, a loose whore. Well, not even a whore, more of a slut. So he doesn't have fond memories of her. But that's the part that hurts him, is knowing that when he awakened, it was her father, who was a good man, just doing what he was supposed to do. He jumped in the way to try to help shield his daughter and protect, you know, his offspring. And that's the like why John's is such a depressing story, and why he went to be a disciplined first. Later on, there was a really bad awakening that happened, that John was a part of the containment team, and he kind of more realized what the stakes were for the Wolverine being targeted by the Hells. And that kind of like is what leads him to leave the discipline. It's what he says to Michael in the cafe. He doesn't give the backstory. The backstory is going to be given in House of Desires. But he left the disciplined. He was disciplined for a time, and then he became an embracer, and he's been an embracer for longer than Michael has been alive. And as you can see, he's still fucking here, not a smiler. That's kind of his point behind that, right? I'm still here. Oh. Okay. Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking good, Dimitri. It's coming along. Yeah. So yeah, welcome to it again. It's a noble dark setting for a reason. There's a lot of darkness in the setting. There's a lot of depressing things in the setting, but there are people that are obviously standing against it, right? Like the fact the hells exist, that the demons, stuff like that. Like it's not a beautiful, like, perfect world. It's not like a utopia or anything. There's a lot of darkness. There's a lot of terrible people out there. There's a lot of megalomaniacal assholes out there. Egomaniacs. There's all kinds of things. Monsters. There's no shortage of bad. But this isn't like a grimdark setting where there's like one hero in a place, right? This is much more a... this is much more, there are noble people all over the place doing their best to fight back the tide, right? That's why it's noble dark. It's a dark setting, it's gritty, but there are plenty of heroes, genuine good guys out there. And like Jonathan is a genuine good guy, right? The Wolverine, a lot of them you meet are genuine good people. Good doesn't mean nice, but they're genuinely good guys, right? They're there to help and protect as many people as they can. Again, the only reason why Jonathan is even bothering to lessen the blow rather than preparing just to fight, which is what William is going to do, he's going to prepare to fight, and he only does that because he realizes there are others already trying to lessen the blow, he's just getting everybody trained up, is he's preparing for the, like, revealing that there's nothing they can get around it anymore. There are people walking around the streets with cameras that are live streaming 24/7, and that's going to who knows how many computers. Even if it's one other person's computer, it doesn't matter. Because they can't use their gifts to get to that data. That's not within reach. So, yeah. It is going to happen. They know there's no way around it. There's no way they can keep the secret forever. It will be revealed, and when it does, it is going to be a chain reaction. And they don't want it to be the catastrophic end of the world scenario. They don't want it to trigger another world war. Because right now, it's been 15 years since the last world war. Well, technically 11. But 15 years is when it started. It's been 11 years since the last world war. Tensions have not eased. The last world war kind of fizzled. The sides, like, just kind of got tired. It went on for 4 years of brutal fighting, and there wasn't much ground made in any direction or anything like that. All sides were basically wounded and hurt, and are feeling real apprehensive about everything. Everybody just kind of collectively decided to lick their wounds and wait. So they're sitting in a Cold War status, right? Yep. Stuff like magic and dragons and stuff are known quantities in this world. Magic, they knew about early because of, like, wizards obviously wanting to show off. They couldn't help themselves, right? So, magic was known about early on in these settings development. There were actually wizards and witches and warlocks. Well, warlocks are bad people, but there were warlocks back in antiquity as well. And it just carried through to the modern day. But a lot of people don't believe. It's one of those things like, oh yeah, sure, magic exists. What's it going to do to pay my rent? Right? The mysticism, the awe of magic has been run dry to most people. And a lot of it is because, like explored in corporate wizardry, a lot of the wizards and mages and things like that, they carry around guns and knives and like flashbangs and grenades. And everyone's like, oh, is that your magic? Haha, I cast fireball and you throw a grenade. And to the wizard, it's like, no, but magic is fucking dangerous. And if I have any chance that I'm going to fizzle a spell and suffer the backlash of it, I'm just going to draw my fucking pistol and use it. I'm just going to pull up my shotgun. I'm just going to get a knife out. That's the way it is. It's that whole thing of like, because the convenience of a lighter exists, I don't need to flick my finger and risk burning myself with a magic backlash to make a little flame to light my cigarette, right? Sure, you could show off if you want, but lighters exist. Yeah, but there's a reliable nature of technology that isn't there in magic. Magic is very much all about willpower. That's what makes it dangerous. I'm not talking about dangerous for other people, because obviously magic is dangerous for others. I'm talking about dangerous for the user, right? This is the turret lock revolver in the old days, where you had 3 barrels always pointing at you at one time. So if you had a chain detonation of the turret mechanism, you would get shot 3 times, right? Kind of. It's not actually, they call it the currents and everything and the spheres, but there is a flow in the sense that there might be places of magical origin and power that kind of like leak out, and then they kind of go with the winds and the currents and the streams, stuff like that, right? There's no like wind of magic that goes against the other winds or anything like that. It's not like a separated, isolated thing, but the magic particulate, say like if there's a place of fire magics, those little magic particulates of fire may get caught in the wind and blow, and maybe a wildfire starts here and there or something, right? That's how it is. Because it's the essence of the mundane influences the spirit influences the mundane. There's that kind of cycle. And it's not one-to-one, it can be subtle things. Like if somebody makes a bonfire in the mundane world, spirits of fire, little figments of flame, little figments of heat, little figments of light will start spontaneously forming in the spirit world, and that's kind of your bonfire. Oh god, no. Remember, the backlash is brutal. Our main character in Corporate Wizardry, he loses his hand in a backlash. He got so fucking lucky that his mentor was a world-renowned healing mage who knew healing magics very fucking well, right? That's where he got lucky. So he was able to get a hand regrown, but it took him years with that new hand until it felt like it was his hand, right? Because he knew what happened, he suffered the backlash, his hand got blown off, and he got serious, like, 3rd-degree burns up his wrist and everything like that, and it was charred and everything. Like, it looked bad. It looked real bad. Backlashes are devastating. They aren't simple little things. They can be if you are Dragonkind. Dragonkind knows that Dragonkind kind of has like pressure releases within themselves, which is how they can use contradictory magic so easily. But for a normal person, you don't have those pressure releases. You don't have those built-in things into your physiology. So backlashes are devastating. You know, like, I use wind to make a wind blade and throw it at you. Oh, you backlashed. What happens instead is, when you were trying to throw it with your hand, it formed inside of your veins and slid right up the other way. It went right back up towards your heart instead. So you just tore your arm open. Just open like a hot dog. Going... It bad. It's very bad. That's why they are so skittish about combat magics. They're using magic in combat. That's why stuff like war wizards, normal mages don't fuck with war wizards. If you are a war wizard, if you are an actual combat mage, like, you are considered crazy. You are crazy enough to try to use magics under fire, where the metal meets the meat, where people are screaming and dying, explosions, gunfire, ricochets, debris going everywhere, and you are still have enough fortitude and will to shape magic craft, to make shapings of magic. Oh my god, you are considered like someone who is not to be fucked with. Don't fuck with a war wizard. Nerves of fucking steel. Those are the EOD bomb tech guys, right? That get like a thrill out of it. The nerves of fucking steel. You don't fuck with them. Yep. So that's why they're like, hey, a lot of war wizards die horribly from backlash. The ones that don't, this is literally like the textbook #1 cited example in the book of beware old men in a profession where they die young. If you have a war wizard who has been a war wizard for years, be very fucking worried. That guy is a rock. That guy is a fortress. He has iron will, steely discipline. He is a scary dude. He is the dude. If a wizard that is not carrying another tool is either incredibly naive and stupid, incredibly new to this, or they are the scariest person you will ever meet. Like, most wizards get themselves a gun very quickly. Because a gun isn't threatening to blow up in their face. Like, sure, there is a minuscule chance of, like, catastrophic failures of firearms, right? It happens. There's any number of reasons it happens. But that chance is way lower than I'm getting shot at, I cast fireball, oh no, it backlashed. Way less chance of that happening. But anyways, because of that situation, a lot of people think of wizards as charlatans. They think of them... It's funny because magic is a known quantity in the world. It is accepted. Magic is real. There are people like hospitals who will pay out the fucking nose for an actual wizard that is a master of healing magics, right? For obvious reasons. Like, magic is real. But it's gotten into this situation where magic has become so normalized, so mundane, and because wizards are so gun-shy about using magic in situations where it can backlash, that they use other tools instead, that people don't believe people are wizards. You know what I mean? They think it's super, super fucking rare. They think the mage that's working at the hospital that literally is reattaching limbs, like, instantly, they're like, okay, that is like a 1 in a bajillion thing. Not realizing that there's actually thousands and thousands and thousands of mages. There may even be like a couple dozen mages in the hospital, maybe, if the hospital can afford it. You know what? I take that back. There isn't a hospital that's really going to be able to afford that. But the society has associated that, okay, most of these people are liars and charlatans and thieves and con artists. That's what they assume it is. You don't have that excuse for the voir dire, right? If you see a giant 8.5-foot werewolf That's not something you can be like, oh, that's fake. I don't believe you. You know what I mean? Oh, I don't believe you. Oh, yeah. Shotgun and sword is a devastating combo. Anyways, so again, it's that whole thing of like, when it gets revealed, it's going to be the dragon thing again. That's what they don't want to happen. They don't want it to turn into another world war. Now, a lot of wizards are aware that werewolves and were-ravens and things like that exist. They call them changelings. And they interact with them a lot more in the arcane, which is what wizards call it. That's what wizards call the spirit realm. They call it the arcane. They interact with them over there, and they are known as the kind of like the law keepers. If a changeling tells you something in the arcane, you better fucking do it. Like, no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't care how strong of a wizard you are. If a changeling in the arcane tells you to do something, you do it. And the reason isn't just because, oh, you could probably take him in a fight. That's not the reason you do it. The reason is because the entire arcane realm seems to, like, adore the changelings. Like, even their own little, the familiars that contract with wizards who keep trying to correct them. The wizards keep calling them changelings, and the familiars keep going guardians. And they're like, the changelings said this. Guardians. They're changelings. No, they're guardians. So it's one of those things where you don't want to rock the fucking boat. You know what I mean? You don't want to rock the boat. Now, them being in the real world, like changelings being out in the real world, wizards don't know if they are or they aren't. They know for sure they're in the arcane, 100%, because the train, the great train that comes has changelings on it. Mistvale has changelings all throughout it. There are changelings in the wildernesses outside of the cities. Like, there are changelings everywhere. So they know they exist. Are they in the mundane world, though? They don't know for sure. Because the forming of the contract between a wizard and a familiar removes the spirit sight of the familiar. It's part of the negatives that they take on to gain a greater benefit later. Once they're done contracting with the wizard, because wizards only have a limited lifespan, the spirit will go back and get all of these new stories and all these new things to spend as rampant currency. Like, oh my god, remember, because gossip, rumors, stories are super valuable in the arcane. Super valuable. The spirits are obsessed with them. But as part of the contracts for binding a spirit, aka a familiar, to a wizard, they lose the spirit sight. They lose it. They can't see it, which is why when William is being interviewed by the director of the NDA, interrogated more accurately, when he's being interviewed by the director of the NDA and the wizard is next to him, the wizard is off to the side and taking notes. The familiar has no idea that William is a Wolverine. He has no concept of it because familiars cannot see the spirit vision anymore. They can't see all the other little spirits. They can't do anything like that. They are particularly bound to the wizard themselves. And again, like I said, it's noble dark setting. So there's all kinds of like little tragedies and stuff like that happen. One of the biggest tragedies, the reader will know it's a tragedy. All the people involved don't understand how big of a tragedy it actually is. And it is the assassination of one of the 2 wizard bodyguards for the NDA director. The wizard bodyguard is particularly talking to his driver about how the Grey Wolf might be telling the truth. Because he started to look into more of the corruption himself because of the interview of William Lowell and the way that William Lowell escaped the NDA building. Because there's no magic detected, magic doesn't work here and everything like that. How the fuck did he get out of the building? He walked into that bathroom. No one else was in there. It's in the middle of the building. It's not like on an exterior wall or anything like that. And he left the note, you made your choice on the mirror. How did he get out of the building? So he starts investigating things because, stuff's clearly like fucky-wucky. And he eventually decides that, Grey Wolf might be telling the truth. And so he wants to set up a meeting with Grey Wolf. Another meeting. They already had one before. And he was hesitant because he's like, I just don't know. I don't know. You're asking a lot of me. That not only do I have to lose faith in the agency I've been working for decades, but I have to give faith that everything you're showing me here is not an artificial construction. That's what you're asking me to do. And he tells his driver this as they're going across the bridge in the Capitol, which is the exact time he gets assassinated. And in brutal, very, very brutal, clearly designed to send a message fashion. Right? So Grey Wolf kills someone who was eventually going to be an ally of theirs, unknowing. There's no way they could have possibly known, because they can't read people's minds. And he didn't reach out to them yet or anything like that. He hasn't done anything to indicate that he is thinking of turning tail, right? He's thinking of turning around and being like, no, I understand. I agree with you. He's given no indications to that outside because that's dangerous, right? If you tell him hey, yeah, I'm basically thinking of defecting from the NDA. What do you think the NDA is going to do about that? They're going to freak out. So again, that's just the tragedy. The reader understands why it's such a great tragedy, but Grey Wolf will celebrate it as a victory, a good message being sent. NDA will have the funeral and everything like that. They don't understand neither side understands what actually happened, why it's such a tragedy. And the spirit that does understand why it's a tragedy, because the contract now breaks, his spirit vision comes back, and he can see, for the first time, he can see the Wolverine all around that basically facilitated the assassination. And then he realizes, too late, because he couldn't help the human he was contracted with. He realizes too late that, what was set in motion could not be stopped. Anyways, chat. Yeah, sorry. So sorry. Yeah. Like I said, I think that's a pretty good indicator of, when I say it's a noble dark setting, it's stuff like that happens, right? And the worst part, the hard part, will be for readers to accept that what William did is not a mistake, right? There is no physical way William could have ever known because the wizard kept it to himself. It is only in this moment, moments before the successful assassination attempt, that he confesses to his driver, a man who he trusts, and he is telling him, I think the NDA is corrupt. beyond belief. And I believe that we should leave it. It's only in this literally moments before disaster that it happens. And I think that's gonna be the big litmus test for people logically thinking through a situation. Those people that are like, William's a monster and terrible and this is a huge mistake. He should be ashamed of himself. How dare he celebrate? It's like, he has no physical way of knowing that it's a mistake. That's life. He has no way of understanding that he killed a convert, somebody who was coming over to his side. There was no overtures. There was no reaching out yet. It is only now, moments before it happens, that the man finally confesses his worry that the NDA is genuinely corrupt. It is only moments before disaster and tragedy. So yeah, William, of course, is celebrating. Like, this was a huge coup. It was a very successful operation. And it sent a clear message to the NDA of, like, no, you made your choice. We're coming for you. But yeah. Anyways, chat. Anyways. Hope you guys take care. Have a fantastic day. Stay safe and healthy. Get fit, get ripped. I will see you back here tomorrow, where we will be doing more The Wolf Among Us. Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go on my walk now, and we'll see how it goes. Yeah. Until tomorrow, guys. Bye-bye for now.